Hey, it's Elizabeth here, and welcome back to flip number 37. Now, you'll have to excuse my sniffling. I'm having some allergy issues this morning. This I'm showing you, I realize it's September, and we are now in November, and I've started my new Fibonacci, but I did make some changes in my November book, so I just wanted to show you one of the changes that I made. In all of my other books, I've always done a header similar to the Hobonichi, where it has, the number of the day, the month, the day itself. I always put a little quote or something up in that box of the header and the weather. Excuse me again for the sniffling. Oy, oy, oy. So anyhow, I just wanted to show you how I used to do it, and then I just decided to be a little bit more freeform with this month, which I have not truly decided if I like it or not. I usually predate my page, so when I set up my book and glue all my pages together and washi all the edges and stuff like that, I always go through, excuse me, oh my goodness, woo, Fred's trying to come out too. When I do my pages, I always, or when I'm preparing my book, I always go through the pages after I wash all of them, and I sit down, for a little bit, and I draw out all of my headers, the lines for my headers. So this month I decided to do something a little differently. Sorry about the glare. Oh, okay. Excuse me again. I'm so sorry. So this is the beginning of my book, and all of my stuff that goes into, there we go. Okay. All the stuff that goes into this pocket right here is out on my art desk. So I don't have it in here, but usually, I mean, you all know if you've been watching my channel, what I keep in this pocket are all of, the prompt sheets, the letter it prompts, the prompts from the Fibonacci group, all that, plus like a little, some stickers in here. I keep my quote stickers in here and stuff like that. So this is my November book, and what I think, I think originally I'd started with, this was going to be day number 1, and I had started with the header up top, and then I decided, no, I'm going to change it up this month. So this right here, I did just a collage of fall items from magazines to cover up the mistake I made, or the change I was going to make. So now if we get into this is November 1st, what I ended up doing for this month, see, instead of doing the headers at the top, I've just gone ahead and printed out I actually had this, but I had this printed out. It's just a sheet of today is, and you put the date up there, and then there's like a checklist of whether you had a good day, a bad day, a fun day, a sick day, or a quiet day. So that's how I did this, using this. So on most of the pages, I have this sticker thing, which I try to put on each page, although I'll show you as we go on. I don't know if it's working or not. I think for December, I might just have to go back to the header thing, just because, I don't know, it makes me feel a little bit more organized. And then because it's November, and of course it's the month for being thankful, I printed out a bunch of labels for I am thankful for ... And then I just used a piece of washi to, section off that for each of the bottom pages. So here's the first, and then what I did up here, again, because I started like doing the headers, and then, I got to this page here, and I thought, you know what, I don't know if I want to do headers this time. Maybe I'm just going to do a little more freeform. So that's what I did, and behind this, it has like the number 2 and my line, and so this is how to cover up a boo-boo. So yeah, I need to get some fallish stickers because I don't really have any. This is just like a clipping from a magazine of a fall wreath. And then, yeah, our month of November started out with a big bang. Everyone got the flu. Well, everyone except for me. So no one was sharing with me, and I wasn't chapped one single bit about it, okay? So yeah, it's been a rough beginning to the month. Yeah, everyone had, colds. My poor husband, my in-laws who are still here working, they had nasty colds. My husband got a bit of a cold. My daughter got a bit of a cold. And my son got a bit of a cold. But luckily, my husband's son and daughter, theirs didn't last too long. So that was good. Except now, what's today? Today's November 17th when I'm filming this. And my daughter just this morning woke up and was like, Mom, I think I'm sick again. And so, yeah. So we're dealing with that. Anyway. And then here I just put a time clock because I absolutely loathe the time change. I cannot tell you how much I do not like the time change. I don't understand why they do it. I mean, I understand why they do it, obviously, like the history of it and all that kind of stuff. But down here in Florida, our planting and harvest time is opposite of what it is up north. So, for daylight savings time, the farmers and everything would plant in the summer and harvest in the fall. So they needed more daylight hours. This is just my understanding, I mean, I'm not an expert on daylight savings, but my understanding was that, the farmers would have extra time during the day. And yeah, I'm going to have to look that whole thing up because now I have to know. But anyway, so back to the time change. I cannot stand it because then, and everybody always says, oh, I get an hour more sleep. You don't get an hour more of anything. Okay. The only thing I've noticed this whole first week, which has been horrible as far as the time goes, is that I'm waking up at 6:30 instead of 7:30. Like my body thinks it's 7:30, but the clock says it's 6:30. So really, I'm like losing an hour. I don't even know how people explain it that, oh, I get an hour more sleep. No, you don't. You don't get anything. You just get discombobulated. That's what you get. So anyhow, but I am thankful on this day that my family wasn't getting any worse with the flu, although now things have changed. So, and then, excuse me. This day here, I had a pretty good day because it was my anniversary. So 24 years ago, I married the man of my dreams. And so I did a little page about that. And I put it's remarkable how long we've tolerated each other just because I think that's funny. And and then this here's like a funny story. When we were leaving our wedding and going to the reception, right? We had a limo. My husband had rented a limo for us, and the reception hall was only probably like 15 minutes away, maybe, from the church where we got married. And so my husband asked the limo driver, he had spent all this money to rent, a limousine for us. And he hadn't had a chance to ride in it yet. And I don't think he'd ever ridden in a limousine. So he asked the driver, could you do me a favor and just, take a couple circles around the block and then take us to the reception hall. So the limo driver was like, yeah, sure, no problem, because we just wanted to spend a little bit more time so that he could have the full experience of, riding in a limo. So anyhow, we're driving and we're driving and we're driving and it seems like we've been driving forever. It had been like a half an hour maybe. And so, I looked at my now husband and I was like, what is going on? We should be at the reception by now. And of course, everybody, that went to our wedding is at the reception hall waiting for us to make our grand entrance. So so my husband says, well, look out the window and find out where we are. Because of course, in a limo, they're like tinted black. You can't see anything. And so I opened the window and oh my gosh, we were at the airport, which is like, holy cow, the limo driver was a she. She had driven us like all the way up to the airport. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I knock on the window and I'm like, we need to get to the reception. What are you doing? So anyway, we get to the reception. We were an hour late to our own reception. It was terrible. And I was a little peeved because, when you have a wedding reception, you only have the reception hall for a few hours, so instead of being at our own reception for 4 hours, enjoying the company of all the guests that we had invited, we're riding in a limo to the airport for some unknown reason. Anyway, crazy story, but it's funny now to look back on. Oh, yeah. So that day I was thankful for my one and only love of my life. So yeah. And then this here is, it's a weekly, or I'm sorry, a daily devotional Bible, like Bible study that I've started doing. And it was Monday, so I'd started it on Monday. You know how I like to start things on Monday. So, yep, started it and it's been going very well. And then this day here is Tangle Tuesday. This is kind of like one of the other things that we did a few weeks ago, but I really like it. And I love pink and brown together. I like blue and brown together. I like brown. But anyway, so here's my day 2 of my Bible study. And then this day, I think Felicia had put out a challenge to the people in the Fobonichi group who have YouTube channels to go on and make a video on the top 10 Phobo supplies that we use, like our favorite supplies that we use. So these are them, and you can go back in my channel if you so desire and look it up. I think it's called My Favorite Phobo Supplies. And maybe I'll just put a link in the bottom so that y'all know. And yeah, so those are them. And I'm thankful for... Oh, this was a Tuesday. So yeah, I was thankful that I was able to pick up my son from school and go to the post office to send off some happy mail. So I was glad to be able to do that. If you've been watching my channel at all, you know it's very hard for me to drive. I do have to drive usually twice a week, sometimes a little more than that. But I do have to pick up my son one of the days from school. Sometimes I can, sometimes I cannot. So that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I was thankful that day that I was able to do that. And then here we have my Fobonichi routine. So this was Whimsical Wednesday. And see, I've changed, like, again, I don't have the headers up at the top. I have my little quotes up there and my thankful and my today is. And so I've tried to do that on every page. As I got more into the book, I started noticing that, that I'd fill the page up with stuff and then I wouldn't have put today is, because I just completely forgot about it. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, the Whimsical Wednesday was my Fobonichi routine, and I'm kind of a fly by the seat of my pants type of girl. Like, I've told you this before, I don't journal in this book every day, even though I do have daily entries. So it all depends on how I'm feeling, on if I have the energy to do it, if I'm feeling physically well enough, if my hands are working properly, all of those things. And of course, if I have the time, I work on it when I can. If I'm not able to work on it that day, I put Post-it notes in here. I go ahead and, what's it called? Print out, my clip art or whatever I'm going to use, and I stick that in there along with my Post-it notes. And so that I know, when I do go back and have the time to do it, I know what I want to put on the page. So I try to do that most of the time. Sometimes that doesn't happen either. But anyway, so yeah, that's how I Fobonichi. That's my kind of routine is, I really don't have a routine, quite honestly. Focus on the good. That was the Letter It November prompt. And then this was my day 3 of my Bible study, which is, going very well. And I'm thankful for my heating pad. Somehow I had wrenched my knee. I don't even know what I did. I just, one evening my knee was sore. By the next morning I could hardly walk on it. It wasn't swollen. It wasn't bruised. There was no, physical marking or anything on it that you could tell. It hurt like the dickens. So I don't know. And it took like a week for it to, be halfway normal again. Okay, so let's see. You know what? I know I haven't gotten very far into this because this is only day 5 here, but I'm just going to go ahead and stop now. And I will thank you for spending your time with me today, and thank you for listening to my ramblings, and I will catch you on the next flip. Thanks.